The first thing Ethan Carter heard wasn't the rain. It was his 6-year-old daughter's trembling voice. "Daddy, her baby is freezing." Those 5 words stopped the 40-year-old CEO in the middle of the crowded sidewalk. Rain poured relentlessly over the city as Ethan hurried toward his black SUV after another exhausting board meeting. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Investors were waiting for him at a luxury hotel across town, and a live television interview was scheduled in less than an hour. Every minute of his day had been planned. Beside him, little Lily held his hand tightly beneath her tiny pink umbrella, struggling to keep up with his long strides. Suddenly she stopped walking. "Daddy, look." She pointed toward a narrow alley between 2 buildings. Curled against a cold brick wall sat a young woman wrapped in a thin, soaked blanket. In her trembling arms was a tiny infant whose little face had turned pale from the freezing wind. The baby wasn't crying anymore, he barely moved. People walked past without even looking. Some glanced for a second before lowering their eyes and continuing on. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, please, we have to help them." Ethan froze. His assistant called again. "Sir, everyone is waiting." For a brief moment, he looked at the luxury car waiting at the curb, then back at the shivering mother trying desperately to shield her baby from the rain. Before Ethan could say a word, Lily slipped off her own warm pink coat. She carefully knelt beside the woman and gently covered the tiny baby with it. "It's okay," Lily whispered softly. "You'll be warm now." The young mother looked up with exhausted, tear-filled eyes, unable to believe that the first person to stop for her that day was a little girl. Standing in the rain, Ethan realized that the most important decision of his life had nothing to do with business. Instead of driving to his television interview, Ethan turned the SUV toward the nearest family shelter. Lily sat beside Sarah in the back seat, gently entertaining the baby while the heater filled the vehicle with warmth. For the first time that night, the infant let out a tiny cry, a sound that brought tears of relief to his mother's eyes. The shelter, however, was full. "I'm so sorry," the receptionist said. "Every bed is taken." Most people would have apologized and left. Ethan didn't. He spent the next 2 hours making phone calls. He arranged a hotel room, paid for several weeks in advance, contacted a pediatrician to examine the baby, and hired a lawyer to help Sarah obtain protection from the abusive partner she had fled. When she tried to thank him through tears, Ethan simply smiled. "Thank Lily," he said. "She reminded me what really matters." Over the following weeks, Sarah slowly rebuilt her life. Once baby Noah was healthy and she regained her confidence, Ethan offered her an interview at his company, not as a favor, but because he believed everyone deserved a fair chance. Sarah's determination and honesty quickly impressed everyone, and she earned her position through hard work. Watching her transformation inspired Ethan to do even more. He launched a foundation that partnered with local shelters, providing emergency housing, childcare, job training, and employment opportunities for struggling parents. What began with one freezing baby soon changed the lives of hundreds of families. A year later, during the company's annual celebration, Ethan invited Sarah and little Noah onto the stage. Looking at the audience, he smiled before pointing toward Lily. "The real hero isn't standing here," he said. "She's sitting in the front row." A 6-year-old girl taught her father that success means nothing if you walk past someone who needs help. The audience rose in a standing ovation as Sarah hugged Lily tightly. Years later, Ethan would always say the same thing whenever people praised him. "I didn't save that family," he said. "My daughter showed me how." Months passed, and the story that began on a freezing, rain-soaked evening continued to ripple through countless lives. Sarah became one of the most respected employees at Ethan's company. She worked hard, arrived early every day, and never forgot the kindness that had given her and Noah a second chance. But Ethan insisted that her success belonged to her alone. "You earned this," he reminded her whenever she thanked him. "We only opened a door. You had the courage to walk through it." Meanwhile, Lily often visited the foundation with her father after school. She loved reading storybooks to children staying at the family shelter and sharing her toys with them. The staff joked that she was the foundation's youngest volunteer, but everyone knew her gentle heart was its greatest inspiration. One cold December afternoon, Ethan received an unexpected letter. Inside was a drawing from Noah, now old enough to hold a crayon. It showed 3 smiling stick figures standing beneath a bright yellow sun. At the bottom, Sarah had written a simple message. "Because your daughter stopped to care, my son gets to dream about tomorrow." Ethan read the note several times before quietly placing it in the frame on his office desk. Of all the awards and business trophies he had collected over the years, that child's drawing became his most treasured possession. When reporters later asked Ethan what the greatest achievement of his career had been, they expected him to mention billion-dollar deals or company milestones. Instead, he smiled and pointed to the framed picture. "My greatest achievement wasn't building a successful business," he said. "It was learning from my little girl that compassion is worth more than any fortune." And every winter, whenever snow began to fall, Lily would look at her father and ask the same question. "Daddy, is there anyone else who needs a warm coat today?" The answer was always the same. "Let's go find them." 5 years passed, but neither Ethan nor Lily ever forgot the rainy night that had changed their lives forever. The foundation had grown far beyond what anyone imagined. What started as one act of kindness now helped thousands of struggling families each year with temporary housing, childcare, job placement, counseling, and emergency medical support. Every new center displayed the same words near its entrance. No child should ever be left in the cold. Sarah eventually became the foundation's director, using her own experience to comfort parents who had lost hope. She understood their fear because she had once lived it. Whenever a frightened mother arrived carrying a child, Sarah would kneel beside her and say, "You're safe now. We will face tomorrow together." Little Noah was no longer the freezing infant wrapped in Lily's pink coat. He had grown into a bright, cheerful boy who loved science and dreamed of becoming a doctor. Every year on the anniversary of the night they met, he gave Lily a handwritten thank you card. One evening, as Ethan locked the doors of the foundation after a community dinner, Noah tugged gently on his sleeve. "Mr. Carter," he said, "I don't remember that night, but Mom tells me I almost didn't make it." Ethan placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "What matters," he replied, "is that you're here now." Noah smiled before running to join Lily, who was helping younger children pack winter blankets for families in need. Watching them laugh together, Ethan realized something remarkable. Kindness doesn't end with one good deed, it grows, spreads, and inspires others to do the same. A single moment of compassion had become a legacy that would outlive every business deal, every award, and every headline. As they walked home beneath a sky filled with stars, Lily slipped her hand into her father's. "Daddy," she whispered, "I'm glad we stopped that day." Ethan squeezed her hand and smiled. "So am I, sweetheart." Sometimes the smallest act of kindness creates the biggest miracle of all.